Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial I will show you how to make a leaf bracelet. So as you can see, the design of my bracelet looks like little leaves or petals, because in my opinions, because they are so colorful, they could also be compared to petals. And I'll show you a step how to create the loop, how to create the leaf structure, and also how to make the tie of the bracelet. So if we open the loop like this, and if I put a tie through this loop, I can close the bracelet, and this is what the bracelet looks like. So as you can see, it is a very colorful bracelet, one that you can wear in the summer at the beach. So let's begin learning how to make such a bracelet. I will use these rainbow colors, so I will use yellow, pink, green, red and orange. And let's begin by creating the loop. So I will fold the yarns in two, and the middle of the yarns will be here. So here is where we are going to make the loop. The length from this point to this point here is about 70 centimeters, that is about 28 inches. And in order to create the loop, I will grab the two ends of my loop like this, and I will start twisting those yarns. And then I'll superpose the two ends of my yarns, and I'll obtain this shape. So the yarns will twist around one another, and this will be our loop. And at the basis of this loop I will make an overhand knot this way. And now I have created the loop of the bracelet. And now I will grab the yarns with the clamp, and I will order the yarns. Now I have ordered the yarns, and I will begin by making two forward knots with the green yarns in the middle. So let's talk about the forward knots. In order to create a forward knot, I will create the number 4 like this. So this looks like the number 4. Then I will put my finger under this cord and grab the other cord and take the other cord through the loop here. And I will close this knot this way. So I've created the first forward knot, and now I will create the second forward knot like this. And I created the first knot of our bracelet. Now I will take the red yarn, and I will make a forward knot and the second forward knot. And as you can see, I have brought the red yarn into the middle. I will take the other red yarn and make a backward knot. In order to make a backward knot, I will make the number 4 in the mirror like this, so the inverted number 4. I will put my finger under the green cord, grab with my nail the red cord, take it out through this loop, and create the first backward knot. And let's make another backward knot like this. So I made 2 backward knots on the green yarn, and I have brought the red yarns into the middle. And now I will make 1 forward knot and a second forward knot. Now I will take the next yarn, the pink yarn, and I will make 1 forward knot and the second forward knot on this side on the green yarn. Then I will make 1 forward knot and the second forward knot on the red yarn. I have brought the pink yarn into the middle here, and I will take the other pink yarn and also bring it here by making backward knots. So 1 backward knot, the second backward knot, and 1 backward knot and the second backward knot. And now I brought the pink yarns into the middle here, and I'll make 1 forward knot and the second. Now I will take the orange cord and make 1 forward knot, the second forward knot, 1 forward knot, the second forward knot, one forward knot, the second forward knot. I've brought the orange cord into the middle. I take the other orange cord and I'll make 1 backward knot, the second backward knot on the red cord, 1 backward knot, the second backward knot, and on the pink cord 1 backward knot and a second backward knot. And I also brought the orange cord into the middle, and I will make 1 forward knot and a second forward knot this way. And let's do the same thing with the last yarn, with the yellow yarn. 1 forward knot, the second forward knot, one forward knot, the second forward knot, one forward knot, the second forward knot, 1 forward knot, the second forward knot, this way. I brought the yellow yarn into the middle, and now I will make backward knots with the other yellow yarn. 1 backward knot, the second backward knot, on the red yarn 1 forward knot, 1 backward knot, sorry, 1 backward knot, the second backward knot, on the red yarn. I'll take the pink yarn, 1 backward knot, the second backward knot. So as you can see, it is very important to be attentive at the order of your yarns, because if they get mixed up, the entire design will get mixed up. And 2 backward knots on the orange cord. Now the yellow cords are in the middle, and I will make 2 forward knots on the orange cords, 1 and 2. And we have created the leaf pattern. So if you're asking me personally, I consider that it looks more like a pattern of petal rather than a leaf, but it is called the leaf pattern. So this is the first leaf, and then we shall continue by making the leaf, but with the colors in the inverted order. So let's see now how we create the next leaf or petal. So I take the orange yarn and make 1 forward knot and a second forward knot. I bring the orange yarn in the middle. From the other side I take the orange yarn and I make 1 backward knot and a second backward knot. So I follow the same steps, only that this time the colors are in the inverted order. Here in the middle I will take the orange yarns and make 2 forward knots. So 1 forward knot, the second forward knot, now I will take the pink yarn and create forward knots, 1 and 2 forward knots. So as you can see here, there is already a distance between this knot and this knot. So as you can see, this bit of orange yarn has no knots, of pink yarn has no knots. The yellow and the next pink knots are situated at a distance. And 2 pink knots on the orange yarn. And now I'll make backward knots on this other side, so 1, 2 backward knots. One backward knot and 2 backward knots. And 1 forward knot and the second forward knot. And now I'll take the red yarn and make 1 forward knot and the second forward knot. And again, as you can see, the distance between the yellow and the red knots is a bigger distance, so this bit of yellow cord has no knots on it. Two forward knots on the orange cord, one and 2 knots. Now backward knots on the right side, so 1 and 2 backward knots. One and 2 backward knots. One and 2 backward knots. And I'll make 2 forward knots in the middle, 1 forward knot and the second forward knot, like this. And let's take the last yarn, the green yarn, and I will make 1 forward knot and the second. As you can see, the distance between the yellow and the green knot is even bigger, and we have this bit of yarn here that stretches in between the yellow and the red yarn without any knots. Let's go to the orange yarn and make 1 and 2 forward knots. The pink yarn, 1 and 2 forward knots. And 1 and 2 forward knots. And on the right side I take the green yarn and make 1 backward knot, and a second, one and 2 backward knots, one and 2 backward knots, one and 2 backward knots, and in the middle 2 forward knots, 1 and 2 forward knots. So as you can see, I have created the first 2 leaves, and I will continue making leaves using the same rules, the same steps, until I obtain the desired length of the bracelet. And then I will show you how to create the bracelet tie. And now that I have finished the bracelet, I will start making the tie of the bracelet. And for that I will braid the bracelet. So I will move the green yarn from the left side to the right side to the inside, so from the outside to the inside here. I'll take the right green yarn from the right side, from the outside, put it on the inside, on the left side like this, and cross the two yarns like this. Now I will take the red yarn and cross it with the other red yarn, the pink yarn, the orange yarn, the yellow yarn, and so on. So as you can see, I have crossed the yarns from the margin here in the middle. And I'll continue braiding until I finish the tie, and then I will make a knot. And now I will make a knot. I will use this yarn and I'll create a loop. So I'll put this yarn around my braiding, around the fishtail braiding, and I will make a knot like this. Now I will grab the scissors cut and let's see the finished bracelet. So in order to close the bracelet, I will put the tie through the loop like this, and this is the finished bracelet. So this is what the bracelet looks like. I will show you how to create a vertical wave friendship bracelet, and for this bracelet I will need some yarns for the basis of the bracelet. On these yarns I will be making the knots, and they are about 18 inches long, that is about 46 centimeters. So from this point to this point my yarns are about 18 inches, that is 46 centimeters long. And to that I will also add these yarns with which I will create the decoration, and the total length of these yarns is about 100 centimeters, that is about 40 inches long. And now, in order to start making the bracelet, I will grab those yarns and I will create the tie of the bracelet. So let's see how long the tie should be. So I will make the tie at about this point here, and I will make a simple overhand knot at the point where I will begin my tie. This way. And now I will separate now. The long cords have been put on the sides like this, whereas these cords on which I will start braiding will be put here. And now let's start creating the design. I will take the black yarn and I will start making forward knots on my bracelet basis yarns. So I will make the shape of the number 4. Let's see from a closer distance. Like this. I will put my finger under the white yarn and take out the black yarn like this. And I will make the first knot. Then I will make another forward knot like this. And I have created the second knot. I will put this yarn away and I will take the second yarn so I will take this second yarn and I will make forward knots again on this second yarn. So I create the shape of the number 4, I put my finger under the blue cord, grab the black cord, take the black cord out through this loop here, and I create the first knot, and again I make the number 4 like this, take the yarn out, and I create the second knot. I take the next yarn, I create the first forward knot and the second forward knot. Now I have 3 more yarns here. So I have these 3 more yarns here on which I make the knots. I will take the 4th yarn and I create the shape of the number 4 like this to create the forward knot. I grab the black yarn, take it out through this loop and make 1 knot. Again I make the number 4 like this and I create another knot. Again, I create the shape of the number 4. Again, I create the shape of the number 4. Again, I make the forward knot, so I create the shape of the number 4. I grab the black yarn, put it through the loop, make a forward knot, and then I make another forward knot. And I have brought my black yarn from this point, it moved forward and I brought the black yarn to this point. And here, as you can see from a closer distance, I have created a black line. So I will push those knots so that they are forming a straight line. So I have created the first line, black line of my design. Now I have these 6 cords here. And I will move the black yarn back here by creating backward knots. So all these knots here have been forward knots. And by means of creating forward knots, I moved my yarn forward. Yarn by yarn, I moved my black yarn forward until it got to this place here. And now I will make another line of knots, but with backward knots. So the backward knots will push my yarn backward and it will get back here. So I will take each of these 6 yarns, and on those yarns I will create backward knots. So the backward knot looks like the number 4 but in the mirror. Again, I will put my finger under the white yarn, grab the black yarn with my nail and take it out through this loop like this to create the backward knot. So I make one backward knot, then I make the second backward knot on the first yarn like this. I put my first yarn away, I take the second yarn, I make one backward knot, the second backward knot, I take the third yarn, I make one backward knot, a second backward knot, I take the fourth yarn, I make one backward knot, the second backward knot, I take the fifth yarn, I make one backward knot and the second backward knot, and now the last yarn, one backward knot and a second backward knot. And now I brought my black yarn back, and here, as you can see, I have created 2 black lines. So I will push the knots backwards so that they form a straight line. And now I will create another line, but this time with my other yarn, with the blue and white yarn. So because this yarn is here, it wants to go back this way, so I will create backward knots on the first row, and then when I bring the yarn back to this position, from this position to this position, I will create forward knots. So I will take the first yarn and make one backward knot, the second, let's see from a distance, the second backward knot, so I put the first yarn away, I take the second yarn, I make one backward knot, the second backward knot, I put the second yarn away, I will make again one backward knot, the second backward knot, I take the next yarn, one backward knot, the second backward knot, and one backward knot, and the second backward knot, one backward knot, and the second backward knot. And now I have created a blue line, as you can see here, the blue wave. And I will go back with those knots, but this time I will create forward knots. So as you can see, I have brought my yarn from this point here, from this position on the right side, I brought it on the left side. And now to bring my yarn back from the left side to the right side, I will make forward knots. So I'll make one forward knot, the second forward knot, I'll take the next yarn, I'll make one forward knot, the second forward knot, I'll take the next yarn, I'll make one forward knot, the second forward knot, the next yarn, I'll make one forward knot, the second forward knot, the next yarn, one forward knot, the second forward knot, and the last yarn, one forward knot, and the last forward knot. So I have created a second row of knots. This time they are blue. So I made a line of black, I made a line of blue. Now I will put my blue yarn away, blue and white yarn away, and I will take the black yarn and take the first of my 6 yarns, short yarns, and I will again make forward knots. So I make the first forward knot, the second forward knot, I take the next yarn, one forward knot, the second forward knot, I take the next yarn, I make one forward knot, the second forward knot, the next yarn, one forward knot, the second forward knot, the next yarn, one forward knot, the next forward knot, and the last yarn, one forward knot and the second forward knot, like this. Let's see, now I have created another black line, and now I brought with the forward knots, I brought the yarn from this side, from the left side to the right side, and now I want to bring my yarn back to the left side, my black yarn, so I will make backward knots. So I will make one backward knot, the second backward knot, and so on. So I will continue with backward knots in this direction, and once I have brought my black yarn here, I will take my white and blue yarn and create another set of 2 rows like this. So I'll have these 2 black rows now, and then I will create more blue and white rows. And I will have alternating black and blue and white rows along my bracelet. So let's continue making the backward knots on my yarns with the black yarn until I bring my black yarn from the right back to the left. And then I will continue with my blue and white yarn. And after I finish making those parallel lines with blue and with black, then I will show you how to create the bracelet ties and to finish the bracelet. So let's continue with the backward knots with the black yarn. And now that we have reached the end of our bracelet, I will create the last knot here, a backward knot to close the bracelet. And now I will also close this end of the bracelet. And I will take the yarn over here and I will close the bracelet. By doing 2 forward knots. And now I will make the ties. So I will take those yarns and I will separate the yarns in 2 like this. I will start turning the yarns to the left, so in this direction. Now I will take the other yarns and I will also twist them in the same direction, like the first group of yarns. And now I will twist them one around the other, but in the opposite direction, to the right. like this. So I have twisted the yarns. Now I will make a knot at the end of those yarns. I will cut like this the end of the tie, and now I will take the other end of my bracelet, and again I will twist the yarns to the left, I will take the other yarns, the other half of the yarns, I will also twist them in the same direction to the left. So separately I will twist both yarns in the same direction. So both these and these yarns are twisted to the left. Of course you can twist them to the right, and then when you twist them around one another you can twist them to the left. But it is important that you twist the separate yarns in one direction, and when you twist them around one another you twist them in the opposite direction. So both these yarns are twisted to the left. And now let's twist them around one another to the right this time. And now I will also make a knot at this end of the tie. I will cut the end of the tie, and now our bracelet is ready. So we can close the bracelet like this by making a knot. This way, and this is what my bracelet looks like. Or if you want to make a sliding knot, we just take one of those ties, we make a knot this way, and we put the other tie through this knot, and we tighten this knot, and now I can open and I can close the bracelet using this sliding knot, like this. So let's repeat the sliding knot. Let's see from a closer distance. So I have this tie here. I turn the tie around my finger. I put the tie through this loop that I have created. I take the other tie, I put it through this loop, and I tighten the knot. of my loop, this way. And now one of the ties will slide through the knot of the other tie. And this is the bracelet with sliding knot. I'll show you how to create friendship bracelet with a triangle decoration using two colors. I will use blue and this dark blue and this pink colors. I have cut cords with a length of about 90 centimeters, that is about 35 inches. So from here to here the length is about 90 centimeters. And first of all I will establish the length of my tie, and I will make a knot, a simple overhand knot at the place where the bracelet begins. So from this knot in this direction we will have the tie, and from here on I will create the bracelet. Here in the middle I will make a forward knot and a backward knot. The forward knot is done by creating the shape of the number 4 like this. I will put my finger under the blue cord, grab the pink cord with a nail, and I will take the yarn out and create the first knot, a forward knot. And now I will create a backward knot. I will make the 4 but in the mirror like this. Again I will put my finger under the blue cord, grab the pink cord, take it out through the loop and create the backward knot, this way. So I have created my first knot here, a forward and a backward knot here in the middle. Now I will make 2 forward knots on this cord here. So one forward knot and the second forward knot, and one forward knot on the second pink yarn and the second forward knot like this. Now I will take the blue yarn and create backward knots. So I'll make one backward knot, the second backward knot, and on the second yarn again I will make one backward knot, and the second backward knot. Now I'll take the blue yarn and create a backward knot like this, and a forward knot like this. Now I'll take this yarn and make one forward knot, the second forward knot, on the second yarn I'll make one forward knot and the second forward knot. Now with the yarn on the left I will make one backward knot, the second backward knot, on the second yarn I will make one backward knot, the second backward knot, now that I got to this place here, I will take the orange yarn and on the blue yarn I will make one forward knot and one backward knot, like this. I will take this yarn and make one forward knot, two forward knots, one forward knot, two forward knots. I will take this yarn and make one backward knot, the second backward knot, again one backward knot, second backward knot, and on the pink yarn I will make one backward knot, and one forward knot. Again I will make one forward knot, a second forward knot, one forward knot, a second forward knot, and I will take the blue yarn, I will make one backward knot, the second backward knot, one backward knot, the second backward knot, and here with the pink yarn I will make one forward knot, and one backward knot. And I will continue, so I will make one forward knot, another forward knot, one forward knot, another forward knot, and backward knots with the blue yarn. So one backward knot, another backward knot, one backward knot, another backward knot, one backward knot, and a forward knot. And so on. So as you can see, the triangles or the wolf teeth are already visible. And I will continue making these triangles or wolf teeth until I reach the desired length of my bracelet. And then I will show you how to make the tie and how to close the bracelet. And now I have finished making the bracelet, and let's create the tie. I will separate the yarns according to their color, and I will start twisting the yarns to the left. I will begin with the blue yarns. Now I will also twist the orange yarns also to the left. So both this and both the blue yarns as well as the pink yarns have been twisted in the same direction to the left. So I will twist until I feel that there is tension in the yarn. Okay, now I will also take the blue yarn. So as I told you, both of them were twisted towards the left. And now I will twist them one around the other, but in the opposite direction, to the right. And now I will make a knot. Like this. Now let's take the other end of the bracelet. I will open this knot. So I will open this knot here. I will grab with the clamp the end of the bracelet. I will separate the yarns, and again I will do the same thing. I will twist the yarns in one direction, so both yarns in the same direction. You can twist them to the right, you can twist them to the left, but it's important that each of the yarns are twisted in the same direction. So for example, you twist them to the left, and then when you twist them around one another, you twist them to the right. If you choose to twist them to the right, both the red, the pink and the blue yarns, then when you twist them around one another, you will twist them in the opposite direction to the left. So let's twist them to the left, each single yarn, until I feel tension in the yarn. So I have twisted one of the yarns. I will grab the yarn with the clamp. I will also twist the blue yarn. also to the left until I feel tension in the yarn. And now I take the two yarns and twist them around one another. And now I will make another knot here. Like this. So I will take the scissors and cut the end of the cord. And now the bracelet is ready, and in order to close the bracelet I will twist the cord around my finger. I will create this loop. I will put the cord through this loop like this. Now I will take the other cord, put it through the loop this way, and I will tighten this knot. And now I have made a sliding knot, and by means of this sliding knot I will be able to open and to close my bracelet. This way. So let's see the finished bracelet, what it looks like. So this is what my finished bracelet looks like. As you can see, it has this zigzag pattern, these wolf teeth, these little triangles, and this is what it looks like at the closure.